All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, when wide receiver Jerry Rice played in the National Football League, he did some unbelievable things on the gridiron that made him the greatest wide receiver that the game has ever seen. Now, in 1987, in just 12 games, Rice scored 22 receiving touchdowns. And of course, it was just 12 games due to a player strike. Now, throughout Rice's career, he became the king of the slant pass as we consistently saw Jerry Rice take a 3 or 5 yard slant pass and routinely find pay dirt. And when Rice finally retired from the NFL in 2004, he left with more than 30 records for receiving. And even though that some of those records have been eclipsed, most of them which includes all-time receiving yards, 22,895, receiving touchdowns 197, and receptions 1549, are not even close to being eclipsed. And the reason why I'm talking about that today is because in this pass happy NFL that we're currently in, you would think that somebody would come close to breaking those records, but that's not the case. Now, following the unofficial retirement of Larry Fitzgerald after last season, the next closest active wide receiver on the all-time list to Jerry Rice in yardage is Julio Jones of the Tennessee Titans, and he has 13,272 yards. But Jones's body is beginning to break down as he has only appeared in 9 games this season and 9 games last year, as leg injuries are beginning to take away from his effectiveness. Now, earlier in the career of Antonio Brown, he was unstoppable with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but multiple suspensions as well as injuries have taken him off the pace. And with the recent knee injury to Arizona Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, there is no pass catcher that is even in the ballpark of catching Rice. And I say that because you look at the receiving yardage alone. Once you take out Julio Jones and Antonio Brown out of the equation, the next closest wide receiver is Deshaun Jackson, and he has 11,110 yards. So that just gives you an idea of what Jerry was doing. And, the thing is, of course, conditioning was the name of the game first and foremost with Jerry Rice. We knew that he was a workout warrior. We knew that he would eat, sleep, drink, and breathe football, literally. And it showed on Sundays when, he went out there and, it was just his own personal playground, so to speak. Now, on top of that, and of course, a lot of people that follow Jerry Rice already know this. And don't get me wrong, but he did it in an era where receivers would go over the middle and get hit, and defenders were less penalized than they currently are. You didn't get pass interference calls like you do nowadays either. And it's one of those for a receiver to even break Jerry Rice's all-time receiving yardage record. He'd have to play 20 years like Rice did. And in those 20 years, you're talking about a guy who would have to average 1,144 yards per season to just catch Rice. Now, there may never be another Jerry Rice, but will anyone ever challenge his major records? And honestly, at this point, I doubt it, because if Terrell Owens and Randy Moss can do it, then who can? But you look at it, it's a pass happy league right now. But on top of that, we're starting to see more athletes and better secondary coverage on on the defensive side of the ball. Then on top of that, the game has changed a little bit from the standpoint that it's very difficult for, or most quarterbacks rather, don't just key in on one receiver. They tend to spread the love around. So it's going to be very tough for somebody to catch Rice. And again, I know that Rice has been retired for a while, and I know that people know that he's arguably the greatest wide receiver to do this. The reason why I'm just saying it is because we've looked at guys who you thought were going to have an
Mhm.
opportunity to come close to catching Rice. And with them doing it, or being unable to do it, and you look at where Rice is stat wise, it's just amazing. We knew that Rice shattered records when he played. And again, the man, it's almost been 20 years, hard to believe. since Jerry Rice last suited up for an NFL team. I remember it like yesterday when he announced his retirement in 2005 when he couldn't make the Broncos coming out of training camp. But the thing was, nonetheless, you still got to go out there and respect what this man did. It's a situation, it may happen someday, but no time soon with the way that like these guys are getting hurt, and I really thought, some of these guys had an outside chance. I know that people were talking about Larry Fitzgerald, but of course, age is caught up to Larry Fitzgerald. He didn't play this year. He's unofficially retired because nobody's picked him up. But nonetheless, it's just a testament to what Jerry Rice did. I mean, I could still envision him coming off of those slant patterns 30 years ago. So, and having that world class sprinter type speed when he came off of those slant passes, and the work that he put in to be the dominant receiver with the hand catching conditioning overall. It's just a testament to him. The records show for it. And the fact, again, and I can't harp on this enough, that even in this pass happy NFL, that nobody is coming close to catching Rice, it just lets you know how truly great that he was. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.